Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are cracking open one of those skills that, well, kind of operates in the background, but it has this huge amount of leverage. We're talking about the power of your speaking tone.
That's right. And we're digging into some source material that promises a shortcut, really, to more confidence and clarity in pretty much any conversation you can think of.
I think we all obsess over the words, don't we? Writing the perfect email, getting the slide just right.
We do. But the tone, that's the invisible messenger. It really dictates how every single one of those carefully chosen words is going to land.
So the mission for this deep dive is to get past the usual advice.
Exactly. We want to understand the practical mechanics of how you can sound natural, relaxed, and genuinely confident. It doesn't matter if you're leaving a voice note or, leading a huge meeting.
Okay, let's unpack this.
First things first, we need to be clear on what tone actually is.
Right, because it's not just about your attitude. The sources are really specific here. Tone is the whole package, your pitch, your pace, your volume.
And that little bit of emotional color you add, often without even realizing you're doing it, it's the music playing under the lyrics.
The music, I like that. It's the operating system for the whole conversation.
It really is. And the classic example, the one that just makes this so clear, is the phrase, "I'm fine."
Oh, yeah.
You type those words in a text, they're completely neutral. But depending on the tone you use when you say them, you could mean 10 different things.
Totally. I mean, "I'm fine," said really high and fast. Sounds like you're absolutely not fine.
Not fine at all. Maybe a little panicked. But then if you say it slowly, "I'm fine," with the lower pitch.
That sounds like you've just, survived a battle and you're exhausted.
Exactly. The words don't change, but the message, the perceived reality for the listener, is completely different. And that's why mastering your tone is such a powerful shortcut.
A shortcut how?
Well, it bypasses that whole intellectual part of the brain that's analyzing the words. It goes straight to the emotional understanding.
Right.
If you sound relaxed, the person listening to you starts to feel relaxed.
And that's really the goal here, right? The sources emphasize that we're aiming for a natural tone, not a performed one.
Yes, this isn't about becoming a stage actor.
We're not trying to be perfect.
No, in fact, trying too hard to sound perfect can actually backfire. It sounds robotic. A natural tone is just about adjusting a few things so your authentic voice, your real voice, comes through clearly.
Without all the static from being nervous or anxious?
Precisely. It's about being relaxed and clear, not being flawless.
Okay, so let's dive into those specific mechanics. These are adjustments you can make, like today, and nobody's going to think you've suddenly taken up dramatic acting. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Let's start with the biggest giveaway for nervousness. Mechanic number 1, speaking too fast.
We all do it. When you're under pressure, you just want to get it over with, so you rush.
You do. And the problem with that is, 1, it signals anxiety to everyone listening, and 2, and this is more practical, it just makes you really hard to follow.
Oh, I've been there. In meetings where someone has a brilliant idea, but they're explaining it at 100 miles an hour and my brain just can't keep up. I miss the whole point.
That's the key insight. The source material suggests that most of us, when we're nervous, we're probably speaking, 20 to 30% faster than we normally would?
Wow.
But the adjustment you need to make is actually tiny. Just slowing down by 5 or 10%, that's it. It instantly makes you sound more collected, more thoughtful.
Okay, but I have to ask, isn't there a risk there? If I slow down too much, don't I sound, hesitant? Or even worse, maybe a bit patronizing?
That's a great question, and it's about finding the balance. We're talking about a deliberate pace, not a glacial one. And the easiest way to do this, to get it right, is to just remember to take a tiny breath between your sentences.
So not a big dramatic inhale.
No, just a small pause for air. It works like a natural break, and it regulates your rhythm without sounding awkward or forced.
I like that. A built-in governor for your speech.
Exactly. Which actually leads us right into the second mechanic. And this one might sound a little silly at first.
Go on.
Smile while you speak.
Okay, that sounds like something from an old customer service manual, but I know the sources say this works, even if no one can see you. How's that possible?
It's just physics. It's acoustics, really. When you smile, even a little, you physically change the shape of your vocal tract. You lift your soft palate.
So you're creating more space in your mouth.
You're creating more space, and that changes how the sound resonates. It literally makes the sound waves brighter, and our ears perceive that brightness as warmth.
So the opposite is true, too. If I'm frowning or my jaw is tight, my vocal tract gets narrower.
And the sound that comes out is sharper, maybe a bit muffled. It can project tension or coldness without you even intending to. A little smile in your voice relaxes all those muscles. It's a hack for instant warmth.
Okay, that makes sense. So what's mechanic number 3?
Adding small rises and falls. Inflection. This is how you fight the great enemy of any presentation, the monotone.
The fear is real, especially if you're talking about something complex like data or technical stuff. It's so easy to just flatline.
In a monotone voice, it just signals boredom or that you're not engaged with your own material. But the fix isn't to start acting out your sentences with huge emotional swings.
You don't need to be dramatic.
Not at all. We're talking about very gentle, subtle ups and downs, just enough to highlight the important words.
So if I were to say the main conclusion of our study is significant, I'd just lift my pitch a little on the word main.
That's the whole game right there. You're just gently guiding the listener's focus. The sources compare it to walking on a gentle slope instead of, running up a steep staircase. It keeps people engaged.
This brings us to the 4th mechanic, and I think this is maybe the hardest one for people to get their heads around.
The pause.
The pause. We are so afraid of silence, aren't we?
Yeah.
We fill every single gap with,
And yet, a strategic pause is probably the most powerful tool a confident speaker has. It does 2 crucial things at once. For the listener, it gives them time to process what you just said.
to let the information sink in.
Right. And for you, the speaker, it's a lifeline. It's your chance to breathe, to organize your next thought.
To think for a second.
Exactly. The moment you decide to replace a filler word with just a quiet beat of silence, you instantly go from sounding hesitant to sounding thoughtful, deliberate. The pause is your friend.
I love that. Okay, and finally, the 5th mechanic, which really ties all of this together.
Yes, and it's basically stop chasing perfection.
The anti-robot rule.
That's a good way to put it. A natural tone means you're comfortable being a human, and humans are, a little imperfect. An occasional voice crack, a moment where you search for a word, even a little laugh. Those aren't flaws.
They're points of connection, right? If you're too polished, too perfect, it can actually create distance. People are looking for signs of authenticity.
They absolutely are. Those little imperfections, they make the whole exchange feel safer, more real. It lowers the barrier. So the advice is just to relax and let your normal, slightly messy voice do the work. The goal is connection, not a perfect performance.
Okay, so we have these 5 mechanics. Now, how do we actually apply them?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about seeing how these elements let you tailor your delivery for different situations.
Let's start with work. That's probably the highest pressure situation for most people. Let's say you're in a big meeting and you're sharing a new idea.
Okay. In that scenario, your goal is to project competence, but without sounding, aggressive or pushy.
Right.
So you would lean heavily on mechanic 1, slowing down, and mechanic 4, pausing. A steady, calm pace shows you're in control of the material. And pausing after you state a key fact or a number gives it weight. It lets it land.
But then contrast that with just talking to a friend or a coworker you're close with.
Totally different. There, your tone can be much lighter. You want more energy, more expressiveness. You're not so focused on flawless delivery.
That's where you'd use mechanic 2, the smile in your voice.
Exactly. It signals the relationship is relaxed, even if you're talking about serious work. And what about when you meet someone totally new?
Like at a conference or a networking event. That can be so awkward.
It can. So there, you combine that warmth from mechanic 2 with a deliberate, calm pace from mechanic 1. That combination immediately signals that you're both confident and approachable. It smooths over those first few seconds.
Okay, what about the really tough one? Giving difficult feedback.
Yes. Here, the tone is everything. It doesn't matter how serious the message is, the sources are clear that you have to start with a soft, understanding tone.
Why is that soft start so important?
It's all about psychological safety. If you come in hot, with a sharp, quick, aggressive tone, the other person's brain just shuts down. They go into a defensive mode.
So they stop listening to the feedback and start preparing to argue.
Precisely. Starting soft makes them feel safe enough to actually hear the words you're about to say. Your tone completely dictates how the message is received, way more than the words themselves.
This has been incredibly clarifying. We've gone from, a vague idea of tone to these 5 very specific, very practical mechanics that actually control it.
And the big takeaway isn't that this is complex. It's that tiny intentional adjustments can have a massive impact. That 5% slowdown, that little physical smile.
They really yield huge returns in how effective you are.
So what does this all mean? The source material makes it crystal clear. Tone decides how people feel about your message, and that feeling is the shortcut to genuine understanding. It's much more powerful than just the intellectual content of your words.
That's such an important point.
It is, and since we now know that a comfortable, authentic, and human-sounding tone is so much more influential than some kind of flawless, perfect delivery, it raises a really important question for you to think about. When you're preparing for your next big presentation, or maybe just a really crucial conversation, should you spend most of your time crafting the absolute perfect, unassailable wording, or should you maybe spend more of that effort practicing the intentional delivery, the strategic pace that makes people feel safe enough to actually listen and connect with you on a human level? That's what's really worth mulling over.